Hello everyone, I am back. Good to see you here. Paul Tranny, going to dive into this Photoshop Masterclass, which is all about those fun phrases, those fun phrases essentially that you get from clients and different people. And it's like not their faults, but how can you interpret what people say and apply it to a design. So it's like it's sort of like going from like good to great when it comes to design is the idea, right? So that guy looks familiar. I actually was going to change my shirt and do a whole thing, but honestly, I literally had like 3 minutes, and 2 of those minutes are switching things around. But speaking of switching things around, let's go ahead and switch this over to Photoshop. So make it pop, right? Hey, can you just make that pop? Can you just like, what are some of those phrases that you guys hear when it comes to you know, dealing with like clients, and some popular, some fun phrases that people say? Anybody have any of them? Like make it pop, or I don't know. It's like the hovering art director. It's everything that the hovering art director says, basically. So those sort of phrases is what I want to deal with. Just so you know, keep those coming. And there's the hovering art director right here, in fact. Here we go.
Make it more interactive. This looks like a short list. I need it to be gold.
I need it to be gold. Okay, well that's pretty direct.
And they want their drop shadows back.
Oh,
I like it. I don't love it.
The 90s called and they want their drop shadows back. Ah, such a good one. Make it interesting. 90s want their dry. That's pretty easy. That's a pretty easy one as well. But again, I'm just writing down a couple of these, and we're gonna take some designs again, make them look awesome. If any of you know me, I will. I've said before that I will judge you based on your drop shadows. Of course, on the fonts that you pick, but I would judge you based on how you use a drop shadow, right? I like it, I don't love it. So we're gonna go from like to love. Who doesn't want to do that? It's a lot of work. Let's get into this, right? Yeah, that's so good. So again, just turn off some of this stuff. Taking any sort of post that you might do, even for you know, Instagram or whatever the case may be, right? That's not finished, is it? That's a burn. First of all, I love the 90s. Nothing wrong with the 90s. That's just, you know, some things need to be kept where they're found. Okay, so this is a common case where it's like, okay, I did this a bit ago, and I want to tackle this if you don't mind. Like we have this, do not be silent. There's no limit to the power that may be released through you, right? So we're going to do this kind of like an activist type, you know, like this is okay as a design, right? I think we can all agree. This is like, okay, what happened here? Well, right in here, there's this layer, okay? Let's turn off that text layer. We have this layer, and what it is, if I delete that layer mask, we could see that this is just a blurred out version of the current layer, right? And that's one way of making things kind of pop. Like this text might get a little lost. Can we make that text pop by maybe adding a blurry background, selecting that piece, adding a layer mask like so, right? So this is one way of kind of making the text pop a little bit more, right? I'm not crazy about this. We can do better. I know we can do better. I agree with Cornell. You and me. I'm actually more like, gosh, what am I? I'm an 80s kid, and I love 80s. I love all things 80s, man. I must say. So here we have this. I will group this. This will be the original. And let's take this stuff to the next level. You like it, you don't love it. I agree. Thoroughly agree. Right? I think we need to tackle this in a little bit more interesting way, right? In accordance like with this photo as well. So let me do that. Let me fill the background layer with white. Here's something we can try. We can take this take this down because this is not interesting enough, right? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to make things interesting, right? So we have this text. We can change this text to black, right? And one thought is, like, could we take this and wrap the text around her face? So I'll use the pen tool, come down here, using specifically the pen tool, not the curvature pen tool, and we can click. We'll keep some of these lines pretty straight so everything is not too bumpy, but I'm just outlining her face right now, okay? Again, I don't want things to get too bumpy because the text is gonna do something interesting. I hope you think it does something interesting. All right, there we go. Keep the phrases coming, make it pop, make the logo bigger. That's another one. A lot of problems I had, like when I worked for agencies, is the clients always wanted all their messages to be the headline. Like they want everything to do everything. They want everything's important to a client. And as a designer, you need to have things organized in terms of reads. So your primary message, your secondary message, and so on. Okay, so there's my path. That's what I've created. Let's add a new layer. Let's use the type tool. Let's take this text. Oh shoot, let's make sure it's copied. Let's go to this path right down here. And again, I just drew a path with the pen tool. We can come down here and we can go ahead and click and then paste, right? And there we have, again, one execution for just like a different design. I'm not saying it's that great. I'll know it when I see it. Wade, I used to have a client that always said that. I was like, He's like, I know you don't want to hear this. Like, I know what I want. I don't know what I want, but that's not it. That's what he would say. I don't know what I want, but that's not it. I was like, jerk. There we go. So again, we can go ahead and do that with text. I don't know if a lot of people know that. Like you can literally just make a path, you know, and add it to that layer, maybe offset it a little bit. And a lot of this, excuse me, needs to be cleaned up as well, just so you know. Guess what? We can always go in there and adjust accordingly. Zoop, zoop. There we are, just like that. This gets really wonky. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna get a little wonky, right? So this might be a case where this is actually kind of cool, but like, is there a better way we could deal with this? And by the way, what I would actually do with this text, oops, did I just break something? There we go. I would space this out some more, by the way. So right down here, the spacing in between letters, I would increase that. So obviously it's just like totally helps out this particular design. Let's get rid of that. Still okay. There we go. Boom. This is gonna be difficult, but this is just another concept. Hey, it's okay, it's cool. Let's move on. More things we do, like, again, I don't know if this design one is really working for us. That's what they might come back and say, I like it, but I don't love it. It's an interesting idea. It's really hard to read. Because what this does is this puts more focus on the person than it does the message. We're trying to get this message across, right, in an interesting way. It's the only images I have. Do your magic. Hey, guess what? This 12 DPI 1 inch by 1 inch image is the only logo I have. Do your magic. Good luck. I don't see the fun in it. Yeah.
No.
You jerk. There we go. Anyways, let's make it fun, huh? Let's have some fun with this text, taking it to the next level. So let me jump in here. Here's one, again, didn't quite work, right? We'll get rid of that. Let's do another 2 more quick executions. I'm gonna do this really fast. I'm gonna use the pen tool, right? Like I was doing before, but instead of path, this is gonna be a shape, okay? Yes, buddy, I did pull out the official.
Just make it pop. It feels too designed.
Jerk. All right, so I changed this to shape, right? So pen tool set to shape. Before it was set to path. We'll come in here. We'll do some quick clicks. Clickety click click. Whoop, bop, zoop, zoop, whoop, eep, whoop, eep, whoop. You do have to add your own sound effects when you're working in Photoshop. There's my shape. We can see it right over here. Fantastic, right? Since it's a shape now, I can take this text, make it white, copy it, and then come over here with my text tool, click inside of it. Now paste. Now we have the text inside of, right in here, inside of this person. There we go. Cool. 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 I actually love her hair. Let's turn that off. We have potentially design number 2. It's just like good. Let's face it, guys. You can call me out. These are all just good, right? But that's what we could do with text in Photoshop, integrating the text with the content. Because what a lot of people do is they'll have their image and then they'll have a text, and those two tend to fight. Maybe displace the text. Yes, we could displace it, Nil. I love your thought. That's the idea. And essentially what you're saying is, can we make this text look like it's kind of more mapped on her face? So let's actually try that. I'm going to do it 2 different ways. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this to a smart object. Boom. Since I've converted it to a lovely smart object, I can go up to filter, liquify. You guys, who doesn't love Liquify? I'm just like, I just want to paint with text as if it's, just basically using a brush on text, right? And manipulating it like so. Notice how I actually can't see the image. That's going to happen right over here. Boop. Show backdrop, beep. There we go. It does give me, let's get rid of that. Anyways, it gives me that other, I want to do just layer 1. Nope. Wait for it. There it is. Perfect. You can just say, hey, show backdrop, show this particular layer, right? And now I can see, oh, okay, let's go in here. Let's bend this like that. The T. Keep in mind when it comes to text, you can mess with the first and last letter all you want. Or excuse me, you can mess with the inside of letters, but once you start messing with the first and last letter, you're gonna lose its meaning. So this do no, this literally might be do no if I push this too far over this way, right? That's pretty straightforward. And again, text's one job is to convey information in writing. Let's not, let's not get ahead of, let's not get too lofty with our ideas. Using the twirl right here, so we could twirl this, right? So watch it. I could twirl it like that. I could twirl it the other way by holding the Option key, because I kind of want to bend it like that. Bending it in. Making the brush smaller. Bend it like that. Take this, push it in like so. That power is getting really wonky. I feel if I do a displacement map, it's going to get really hard to see this text, and this just gives me like a lot of control, right? I'm kind of into this. All right, let me see. Jason has some zip. Okay, just seeing if I missed anything. Yes, thank you. Mohammed says if with Liquify, it actually looks nicer. Yes, it does. A couple things we could do here as well, right? We could try different blend modes on here, right? So we can get down into overlay. It's not really going to stand out that much because now we could either go with this flat look or we can give it some color variation, right? So let's do this. This is the photo. Command J to jump it. Bring it up here. Clip it. Bam, like that. Command L. Crank it up. Zoop. Ready? See, watch it start to come through. Ooh, there it starts to come through. That's nice. Zip. Just like that. Kind of bring that through and make sure you're able to read it, right? Like that. I gotta bring that almost clear to the edge. There we go. Gets kind of tough to read, right? But I could always add an additional layer that is a clipping mask as well, and we can paint. So we can always paint in areas that we need to bring out a little bit, like that. Okay, cool. So we have that lovely depth, and I'd say it looks pretty good. Ooh, Cornell said you'd copy the woman, clip text. Cornell did we're almost on the exact same level, right? We were both thinking the exact same thing. So good call. We are thinking alike. Although you said set the blend mode to, what did you say, difference or exclusion? To difference. Yeah, that's kind of cool too. That's difference. Fascinating. So difference will just does like an inverse of that as well. So that's cool. Thank you for that. Maybe it still needs something better, but it needs pop. All right, Frank, you're killing me, Frank. Right? It needs more pop. We've been working on a black and white image. This text actually should stand out a little bit more, right? So we could always take that opacity down for this if we want to bring up everything, but we could also play with color. So Akash likes it. Hey, that's good. First off, be aware of kind of some design fundamentals. Anytime you have a photo of a person, like, where are they looking? We don't want to cut this off right here saying, oh, so white space is an element. This is actually a design element. We need to give like people a direction to look with space and then like a direction to go. So have space around it, right? Maybe some could be chopped off the top. I'm not sure, but let's go ahead and introduce color since people are still like, hey, make it pop. Right, let's just kind of jump in here.
Let's see the fun in it. Oh, make it more interactive.
Killing me. He said I don't see the fun in it. Ah, you jerk. All right, let's go in here. Let's add some blend modes. We can add that to the background. So going to this photo, I'll turn off everything just so everybody can see it. And thanks so much for joining me. About 20 minutes in, we have more designs to work on as well. But I want to cut her out, so we'll select her. I have so many things talking to me right now. In fact, let's do this. You ready for this magic? Are you ready? Let's turn this on. This layer, right? I want this layer, this lovely gradient to be in the background. And let's flip it. So we have the light side up, bring that down like so. Okay, I want to actually cut her out. We'll select that photo. We'll do Command J just to keep it back up, and we'll do a magical remove background. Thank you for removing that background. You did your job. Let's clean it up. Cleaning it up. We're gonna go with a brush, the actual brush. There we go, that's what I want. Something kind of like that. Grabbing some of this white, taking it out of the hair like that.
Nice is called, and they want their drop shadows back.
I didn't use any drop shadows, buddy. I know better. Click OK. I hope I know better. I don't know. Forehead I might have messed up on. Let's be honest here. Let's get in on this action. Like that. That's funny. Let's make all those 97 layers our logo. That's another thing. Once we get these designs done, we could also talk about pitching this project as well and show it, like, what do we show to the client? Whole debate around that. Okay. All right, so we have that. We can turn this other content on. There we are. We could take this layer and bring it up here, clip it to that text as well, and play with some of the blend modes as well. So does this make it pop, right? Does this look better? Add all the drop shadows. I know, right? It was scary, Howard, like when we introduced the ability to add multiple drop shadows, because you actually can in Photoshop. Double click. Right in here, drop shadow, boom. Oh yeah, and right here. So you could use this for evil, right? Add another drop shadow, right? Change that color. You guys get the idea, and extend it even further, right? So now I have 2 drop shadows. I like that, but you know, with much power comes much responsibility, as they say. So this one's okay, wouldn't you agree? Too much pink. Pam's like, too much pink. I think the boldness of the message, you know, I like the, I'm not crazy about it, to be honest with you. The black and white was the way to go, I think. I don't know. Because I want to keep the message in mind, right? Could it be something like that? Let's take this off. Bring this down. Let's apply it just to her. And change the blend mode as well. There we go. So what am I doing right now, by the way? Big brother and Monica, keep the background white. That's what she said. What am I doing right now? I'm literally just picking colors, just to pick colors. I'm like bouncing around in here. I'm kind of playing around. Maybe something will fall in place. But it's like, what's the purpose of adding these gradients other than Paul likes gradients, right? So that's the bigger question. It's like, are you picking colors just to pick colors, or what's the purpose behind the colors that you're picking, right? So that's the big question. We'll kind of leave it at this one because, again, we're still working on this. We have design 1, design 2, Command J. We have design 3 right there. Let's take design 2 because this is the one that's not going to have any gradients in it. Okay. Let it go. Right, there we are. Design 2, design 3. Let me show you something else. Put flames in the typography. Yeah, exactly. Right? It doesn't mean anything. What's the point? What's the point of adding flames? What's the point of doing some of this? I still like number 2. I think it's big and bold, and we can play with this more. Can you apply gradients on the text? Certainly can, yeah. But honestly, since there's so much going on with this text right now, I don't know if adding more is really going to help it. If anything, maybe what I do is do Command J, we'll jump this, or duplicate. We'll do a version in between 4, which is now the gradient, and 3. So this one, Yeah. All right. You guys get the idea. Let's move on, shall we? Let me show you some more tips and tricks, right? Because I have this text. Let's do this. Ready? You ready for this magic? And yeah, we have Jason up next. Howard will be up as well. Today's a full day of fun times. Jason, then we have Illustrator Daily Creative Challenge. It'll be Julia's last day as well. Howard's going to be do an XD masterclass, which will be awesome. Nick and Andrew will do office hours. We got a full day, basically. So let's turn this off. Let's take this text, right? We could take this image, and what I'm going to do is actually make... All right. Okay. Paste this in. All right. You ready for this? Sorry about the what I'm doing right now. I will explain what I'm doing in a second. I'm going to grab this path, copying this path. I'm going to bring this into all places. I get it. This is a Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge, but sometimes you just need to use Illustrator. And again, as a designer, you need to use the best tool for the job. Sometimes the best tool for the job might not be the one that you know, might be a different tool, right? Because I want to just show you what you can do in Illustrator as well if we're going to flow text around a face. Okay, so here's this line. Let's make it the size of our face. That's just roughly what we're going for. Let's get rid of this. There we are. So again, bear with me. I do apologize. I don't want people to get mad that they happen to be learning a whole other app as well. Don't be mad at me. But again, I'm just showing you the different tools available, like good old Illustrator. Because in Illustrator, notice how I just outlined that face. We could take the text wherever it is, if I did not copy it over yet. Okay. Go in here. Wait for it. Here is the text. All caps. A variable concept font. We want it to be really fat and the width to not be so thick. And that's what's awesome about these variable concept fonts. Love them. There we go, like that. And I did not get the whole phrase, so wait for it. Let me jump back over. Okay. So really, I'm only using Illustrator to do really just one thing. So bear with me. Got to get all the text in there. There's all the text. Place that like so. This is underneath this layer. So we have the shape. It's our shape layer from Photoshop. We have our text right here. We're just going to make sure those two are one's underneath the other, right? We'll select both of these. We'll go to Object. We'll go down to Envelope Distort, and we'll say, hey, make with top object, right? Make with top objects. This requires a selection of multiple. Okay, so I think I actually have more than one object in here. What is happening? Ooh, so this is what's happening. Oops. I did not have them on separate layers. Shame on me. There they are. You can see that text is now pink, so it's behind it. We can go to this shape. We can always ungroup. We just want to make sure this is a solid shape. Release compound path. It shouldn't be complex at all, right? So there we are. We're back where we need to be. We select those two. We'll go to Object, Envelope Distort, and Make With Top Object right there. Boom, there we go. And now that's what we have, is we can actually have that kind of morph into that shape, which is kind of cool. Yeah, Make With Top Object. That's what it is. Cool thing about this, we could always double click, come in here, grab this text. Oops. Yeah, adjust. That's. Am I doing this right? Double click. This text, I can start to move it around. See, look what I'm doing now. I'm moving this, and it's changing the flow. So this might be an easier way to work, or at least another option for our lovely design. Isn't that cool? Right, so with that done, I could select this, copy it, bring it back into Photoshop. We just used it really fast for that one go. And then we can use it where we want to use it. How's everybody doing this fine Friday? You guys all doing well? Pasting it as a smart object. There it is. Boom. That was kind of fun. All right, you get the idea. Cool. Okay, so Steve approves. Steve says, whoa, nice. Nice. Good to hear. Thank you, sir. And there we are. So typically what I do with these designs, I now have design 5, right? Holy cow, 1, like so many. And as I click through these, I start to see some ways that I can make these previous ones better, right? Because actually there's too much line space in here for one. So yeah, that's one situation. If I'm going to be changing this a lot, here's another thing I can do. Right over here, now that I'm ready to output these, I can say, hey, design1.jpg, 2.jpg. On down the line. Cool thing is I only have to do this once. So yes, you are naming your layers, but you're naming your files at the same time. Okay, so I have those 5. I'll just save this. It's called Silent Start. Don't know why. When it comes to naming files, I usually just name it the very first thing I can think of, like my first intuition, right? But here it is. Here's the particular file. We can see some other folders over here, but all we need to do is go into Photoshop, File, Generate, Image Assets, right there, okay? Image Assets, boom, right? What happens behind the scenes? Well, hurry up, Paul. Oh, look, it made all of these assets. There they are. Okay, let's get these looking pretty. But now what I can do is I can continue to play with these, and then it will export out those latest changes. So these two are pretty similar, to be honest with you. I probably want to go in and change one of them. Let's change this one, just to show you what it can do. Change the gradient. What happens? It quickly outputs, bam, 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 that those changes. So it's like little elves working in the background, changing up things, and all of that. Cool. All right, you guys got it. Let's move on. Cool. Cool. Pam likes it as well. This is awesome. All right. Got that done. We could save this, send it to the client. Another thing to do, if I really like one design, I'm like, okay, I would really love to turn this around to the client right now. I can save this as a cloud document. Save as a cloud document. Silent. Saving that as a PSDC, Photoshop cloud document. If we go into assets.adobe.com, cloud documents, we'll give it a second because it's going to have to upload that file, right? So you're not going to see the preview initially here. Okay, but it is coming, not to worry. I agree. Yes. Messing with it a lot and then seeing what comes out the other end. All right. All right. It is buffering. Actually, looks like everything is good now. And we can move on, right? So again, here we go. Let's do this. Let's get this party started. I am back. Sorry about that little dip in the internet connection, but hey, that's the world we live in. And we have our design up now. So fantastic. Here's our design. I'm going to go ahead and get a link, and right over here, we can allow commenting, allow save to Creative Cloud. Hey, why not? Copying that. And now I can share it with all of you, but I can turn around and share it. Wait for it. Oops, not that link. Wait for it. Let's just copy that. Wait for it. Wait for the paste. Copying and pasting from one machine to another. It's taking a second. There it is. Awesome. So sending it to a client this way. So click on that link, that should work. I haven't actually tested the link. Test the link before you send it to the client. But that'll load up and now everybody can add their comments to it, right? So this is where they'd be like, I like it, I don't love it. You jerk. Right, so that's what's happening there. Sort of having those comments travel with the file, right? So that's kind of cool. All right. Let's move on. Feel free to comment on this file. I will review it later. I only have about less than 20 minutes, maybe like 15 or so minutes. But I wanted to tackle new design and go as fast as we can, right? So if we say, hey, you know what? Take this museum. We want to do an advertisement for it. They gave us a couple images. This is one of them, right? Which actually looks a little intense, to be honest with you, right? Let's open up this. Brand new project. Client gives us all of these images. Let's close that one. And it's a matter of kind of coming up with a quick print layout that could be a poster for the client. Typically, I would work with a writer that would come up with some fun phrase or some sort of idea. It'd be brainstorming between like the designer and the writer. But here, again, here's the museum. We want to use some of these people. We maybe don't want to scare them away with this image, but we can kind of go through and start to pick out some of these and add some fun looks to them is the idea. Okay, so far I think what looks great is this image is really cool. So you can take that and start to play with this text right in here. So let's take this. We're going to change the size of everything too. We might be able to get multiple posters done at the same time, but we are going to make them pop is the idea, right? So here's all our images. right? There it is. We will do trim. Just show me the transparent pixels, because this is the poster that I want to work on. People like the bottom right corner. Oh, good to hear. I see you there, Nadine. Yes, I love this one. Isn't this awesome? Right? So let's use this one for our poster. Drop it right up there. There it is. We can start to work with this. First thing I might consider is just, I do have to rasterize this layer, but that's then going to give me the ability to cut out the background. So right over here, we'll quickly remove background and we'll see what we get. Boom, it did it. It removed the background. Since I kept the original layer, we have it right back there, right? Cool. We can now take this text and start to just play with some of the text is what I want to do. And again, this might take a second. Dropping that right there. I love dealing with like a depth. Sorry, it looks like it actually grabbed some of this, so let's fix that really fast. Right, there we go. So turn that on, there we go. Love dealing with like the integration of text with this stone. And we could have a lot of fun with this. We can make it look really close by even adding a shadow, but this is just, integrating this just makes it look a little bit more interesting. For some of this, obviously it needs to be in front of the head, so you might have cases where you have one layer, which is gonna be the wing, the other one's gonna be the head and other parts. So right over here, we'll bring this up. For this one that's just the wing, we will cut out everything else. Make it black. There we go. Now we have that over the top. And let's separate out this text. Again, just trying to make it pop and impress you, because you guys are all the art directors, so you can kind of tell me what you're feeling, right, at the end of the day. Okay? Yeah, so we have that. That's kind of at an angle. I actually don't want this overlapping the eyes. Let's take these 3 layers by holding down the Command key. Command T, Command 0. Now I can actually access those little handles. Boop. Maybe zoom out just a little bit more. But we'll rotate this a little bit like that. So it's not covering up that person's face, like so. Okay. What did I do with the background? Right? Yeah, definitely museums shouldn't be bigger. Totally agree. I just haven't really messed with that yet. Right? I agree. That should be like that. Same. So what did I do with the background? I kind of manipulated the background. I'm not crazy about it. Okay. I need to fix that. Let's actually undo this rotation. Create a duplicate. Let's create a layer that doesn't have this person there. So let's just rasterize this layer. I'll do this something similar. Rather than removing the background, I can do a select subject, expand the selection by, depending on the resolution, I think it maybe 10 might be in order. That seems to work. And now we have the statue selected. So we'll inverse that. Oops, so sorry. Minus. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, no, add. I'm sorry. There we go. Everything's selected. We're going to fill this with content aware. Click OK. It's okay if it's not going to be perfect because I'm going to be able to fill this up anyways. Right, so there it is. Right, I can always kind of come in here, grab this. I often use the patch tool. Patch tool will allow me to kind of grab from this spot and put it right there. So grab this spot, right? Fill that in with this area right there. So that's what I would do. I'd kind of do some quick cleanup for some of this. Right here, I don't really need to worry a lot about this because it's already going to be covered up by the shadow. But this, in this case, I don't want to grab from the blue, grab from that orange there. Let's turn this back on. Let's bring it back. Boom. Boom. Command T. Rotate. Bring it down. Something kind of like that. There we go. Turn on our text, grab our text, expand it out, right? Make this a little bit smaller, as somebody recommended. There we go. Cool. Cool. Hopefully you guys are learning. Yeah, sometimes the patch tool works good. Yeah, I agree. Sometimes it does. I think it works great. Keep in mind that you have patch set to normal, and then there's a content aware for the patch tool. So that will be aware of the content that is already there. So it typically will take on the darks or lights of what you're patching. By the way, Tenku, you could actually select something. So right in here, if I wanted to remove this, you could just use your lasso tool, and then you can use any selection tool you want, and then come to your patch tool and select it and say, oh yeah, I could actually use the patch tool to kind of move that over and make sure it doesn't look like there's two of the same clouds right there. So again, use traditional selection tools, any ones that you want. We have that like so. Let's play some more with this. Yeah, that's what we have. We need to play with this font as well, because the font this is what, if I pitch this to a client, they'd be like, I like it, I don't love it. I love the statue, but I'm not crazy about the type. Like the type, we haven't given it any thought whatsoever, right? So that's where we want to say, take a look at it and say, hey, you know, what would represent this museum? It's a classical museum. It's actually at the Vatican. So what could we do to make this look more classical? Of course, go into your properties with those two layers selected, and let's go ahead and switch this to, say for instance, a serif font. We don't have much time. Let's roll through these. Let's go with Garamond Pro, right? Classic, right? It's like that Times. Look at that. I love it, right? So that's along the lines of what I want to do. Using that font and moving on. We could play with this some more if we want to integrate this even further. Again, taking this from good to great. The text looks flat. I like this interaction with the text and this statue, but there's more we can do. Like we need to add, you know, sort of like some more content to it, right? So it's like, you know, whatever exhibit this is or something, there needs to be more text in here. I like the idea of having some text and making it look like it's actually like 3D and actually being cast on the shadow, on the statue. I think that would be pretty cool. So Neil, this is boom, nails it, drop shadow, right? So do we do that, right? So let's come in here, let's add a drop shadow. Boom. This is where I judge you. That's where I judge everybody. I was like, oh really? Really, you're gonna go with that drop shadow? This is lame. This isn't even good. This is like, oh, this is not even very good, okay? So what do we need to do? We need to take it to the next level. Command J. I would take this text, I'd convert it to a smart object. Right now, this object right here is a smart object, right? We can overlay it with black, but technically the darkest color in here, which might not be black. Right, and then we can go ahead and blur it. Filter, Gaussian blur. So we could try something like that. We can map it right to that statue. Boom, like that. And now we have that text on that statue, right? That exact text that we could actually change. Use a shape behind the text so it's dominant. That's a great idea. I like the idea of making that stronger and like a little bit more bold. That's a great idea. We go into Liquify. We can start to take this and bend it, right? Have it wrap around the arm. Just pushing that up like so. Pushing this down like that. Okay, there we are. And again, just kind of playing with you know, the shadow on the arm. And that's how I would do that. All right, I have about 5 more minutes. Thanks for hanging out with me. As JJSS. Now, JJSS, is that your real name? Sounds like somebody just leaned on the keyboard when they're like, what are we going to name this child? And then they just leaned on the keyboard. Just kidding. Just messing with you. Do we add something like that? That big, bold, makes that stand out and it doesn't get lost. Yeah, so the shadow doesn't match where the light's coming from. I get it. This needs to move over. I hear you. I hear you. Good call. That needs to come over. You might be able to get away with like a little bit of a bevel and emboss, right? Just to make it stand out at this point, right? We could do that. I don't know if you guys like this. I like the idea of stabilizing that text. I'm not sure that this is the right way to go. What do I have? Just grab some text or a texture. Let's drop that in there. All right, levels. Zip. Zip. All right, there we go. We could make this look like it has more depth as well. So I'd give this maybe a little bit of depth somehow. The easiest way, of course, is to do like a bevel and emboss. Oh, thank you, Monica. Thank you for being so kind. One of the problems is this rectangle is so clean, right? We need to roughen this up. This needs to look like stone, you know? That's the short of it. That's definitely what I would do. And again, I'm going to try to get this in. Since I don't have a lot of time, I'm just going to try to make this look as good as possible within the short amount of time that I have. But we'll do that. We also feel the need to make this text stand out, but we also see that we are kind of developing a different, this design is evolving, right? So that's when I'll often like take all these layers, group them together like I've been doing. Design 1, Command J. Now I can start design 2, right? So again, design 1 does not have that. It just has this set to white. The reason this text needs that block is just to make it stand out. That text is so thin, so I either need to pick like a bigger slab of text, make that look like stone, or do something else. So I know I always jump into a different topic the last minute I have, but I would actually, instead of trying to fabricate something using Photoshop into something that looks 3D, I would actually use, you know, something like dimension. Right, so here I have this text. Let's take this text. Let's change it to Pio Clemento. There we go, right? You guys get the idea. Changing this font. Wait for it. There we are. Give it a little bevel. Hey, why not? Oh yeah. Zoop. There we have our text. Then, of course, I'd pick some stone or whatever I have over here, right, and drop that on and start to use it. So that would be the goal. Notice how I actually put it just on the side. I can take this and drop it on the actual layer. There's my text. Ooh, here we go, some marble. Boom. There's some lovely marble right there that I can go ahead and take this and render it out and put this into Photoshop, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Again, this is going from like good to great. Sometimes it means using other apps like Illustrator, like dimension to take your work to the next level. So that's why I'm glad you guys are here. Hopefully like learning new things in Photoshop, but also just like new apps in general, even diving into video, which is up next. Would be fun if the inner shadow looked like it was carved into stone. So much fun doing all of that. I didn't quite finish this one, and I do apologize, but I thank you guys so much for joining me today. We got Jason Levine up next doing some video and audio. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Stay tuned.